So today I'm going to talk about the things I did to heal Keanu's abscess that he had. So Keanu is my fat-tailed gerbil, which I'm going to show some clips of his tail and what happened. I don't want to get into the whole story of that, but basically he got an abscess from getting an injury from a hide house that he had. I get him out every day, so I did notice this right away, and I do think it's helpful to get your pet out every day and do a health check on them just to make sure nothing's missed. So he had a tiny little scratch, and then bacteria, I guess, had gotten through that, and so this created the abscess, the swelling. And how you can tell if something's an abscess versus a tumor is that it'll be slightly squishy and soft. You will feel that kind of fluid inside of it, and it'll be red and warm usually. So those are signs of an abscess. So not everybody's going to have this around their home, but I do recommend getting like a homeopathy kit for pets. They do have them for people too, and actually it's dosed the same. So if you know the things to use, you can even Google some of this. But this is really cool because it did come with an instruction thing, and it tells you like the symptoms and that your pet may be having, and then what you do is you look at the symptoms further. It'll break it down, and then it'll tell you which ones to try. So this is what healed him from that. This, along with, now this is something that you may have at home, is Epsom salt. I did not bring the bag in here with me, but just regular Epsom salt, not something with lavender in it or anything like that, but regular Epsom salt. What I did was I put just a little bit in here, and then I filled it with some lukewarm water. Now, because it was his tail, this was a little bit easier because I could hold him upright, and what I did was I stuck his tail into here for just a little bit with the Epsom salt and the warm water. I will say with a small pet, it's going to be hard to let them submerge very long, so what I did was I did this 2 to 3 times a day, and then I would just pat the area dry with a clean like gauze or something. You could also use baking soda. I did try that like once or twice. I do think the Epsom salt did really good. And what it really did was it dried up the abscess, basically from internally. I felt like it killed the bacteria, it penetrated it, and it allowed it to heal from within. My problem being that as I have taken, I've had other small pets that get abscesses. This is very common for rodents and things to get this. And these instances, I took them to the vet right away. Well, the vets either squeezed this as if it was like a pimple type of thing, or they lanced it with like a scalpel, and they made an incision, and then they drain it or whatever. Now, neither time did that go good. I had a little bit more luck with the lancing, but it still came back pretty quick, and then it just never got better. The other one, what happens when you squeeze an abscess is that when you squeeze it, yes, some is eventually going to come out, but you are forcing that infection farther into the tissue. So now instead of having a walled off infection in a small spot, now it has spread to other areas, which may even include like the blood, the lymph nodes, and things like that. So that's why I like this method, is using this. Now, in the event that you don't have the Epsom salt and you don't have the baking soda, which I would just recommend having those in general. They are good things to just have for lots of different stuff. For stings, you can use baking soda and stuff like that. Epsom salt is good for aching muscles to soak in. But if you don't have that, then at least do the warm water. And submerge that, because that warmth will kind of help, ease that up. Also, honey is another thing. I had Manuka honey. Now with him, because I put it on his tail, he was able to lick that off right away. He liked the taste of that. Did it hurt him? No. Manuka honey is good. It's an antibacterial. So that is another good thing to have on hand. Now, in the off chance that like this is a body part you can't really submerge or something, what you could do is take, again, the warm water with the stuff in it I mentioned, make a compress out of that with like some gauze or something, and then try to apply it to the area. See if the animal will let you do that for a time. And again, you're just going to kind of want to monitor this and stuff. Along with, if you have the homeopathy, you can use that. Now, what I will show is that these are little bitty pellets. Now, I had tried this once to take it and put it in their hand, and they will suck on it, but it kind of made me nervous because I didn't want them to like aspirate it or something. So what I do is, let's just take this one for instance. This is aconite, and you would take the pellet, and then I put it in a little bitty like measuring thing. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on just a minute. Okay, so I'll take like a little measuring thing. I'll put the pellet in there. You don't want to touch the pellet, okay, really, because that can destroy some of its effectiveness. So try to just put one in here by dumping it out, and then I'll put a little bit of like filtered or bottled water or something in there, and you let it dissolve. Now, it'll take a little bit to get it all dissolved, but once it is, You can pull this up in a syringe for them. And mine, because I have used syringes with them in the past, like for medicines and stuff, if I put that in, near their mouth, they will actually take that syringe and they will just drink freely from it as I just barely push. You don't want to push it all at once and get them choked, but just a little bit at a time. And mine will actually drink that, and they do not mind, because basically it's kind of flavored with some sucrose, some sugar. And so they like it and they don't put up a fuss. It is a good idea. It's good practice when you have an animal and they are a young animal to occasionally give them a little bit of water with a syringe. And that way, when they're sick, if they do have to take something like an antibiotic that tastes bad, they are used to a syringe. They don't fight you like, oh my gosh, what is this thing? I don't like it, because it automatically takes this awful stuff that's in there. So you get them used to a syringe with just water in it when they're young, and then it's not such a traumatic event that's happening along with them being sick. So, but this booklet, like I said, explains a lot. Now, what I'll do is with a small pet, I'll start out with the one that I think most closely resembles what's going on. And then I give that to him, and then, a couple hours later, like 3 hours later or something, I'll give them another one. I just gauge on how it seems that it's working for them. Now with Keanu, with this instance, I did have some antibiotic on hand. But the antibiotic a lot of times doesn't seem to penetrate the infection alone by itself without doing some of these other things, like, soaking this and stuff. And then also with these, what we're doing is we're helping the body to fight the infection. It's helping with the antibodies that they already have, is to help the body fight it better. Okay, so that's what these are for. And so like I said, these really, really work good. Now, so you start out with that, and you don't want to give, you want to space that out. So for example, if you are giving antibiotics and this, which is perfectly safe, you would want to space it out at least 15 minutes. And also any type of food or, drink or anything beyond what you're putting in here, you want to wait at least 15 minutes. You can give 2 different kinds too. In fact, I did do that because, let's see, Belladonna. So we were giving the Belladonna because I could tell he was feverish. He was even kind of shivering a little bit, and Belladonna is good for that symptom, okay? But then we had the abscess going on in and of itself. So we were trying the Roost Tox with that. I tried a little bit of the Hepar Sulf, but that one you have to use with caution in a closed one where it's not draining. So I moved on from that. But anyways, there's just different ones that you try depending on the symptom that's going on. So like I said, this book will explain all of that. You can also cross-reference with this book that it gives you. So, for example, if you were looking through here and you came across one and it said something about, abscess or the different symptoms that you were basically seeing, you could go then and look that up. So, for example, apis, if you looked it up back here and it said something about abscess, you could double check and go to the back, and it'll just list out the particular homeopathic. And so it says here, the main picture of this remedy is fluid-filled swelling, especially of the skin and mucus and serous membranes. So that is why I ended up using apis, and I did combine with Roost Tox as well. And like I said, I just spaced them out by about 15 minutes. The good thing of these is they don't have side effects. You can't really overdose on these. And so, they're a good option. Like I said, it's good to have some of this. They do make this an adult kit, which I do have for people. And actually, like I said, they're dosed the same. So whether you can get some for people or this is specifically targeted for pets, because when you look up different illnesses and things, obviously there's some things that animals are going to have that we're not going to have. So anyways, so I just wanted to mention that homeopathy is a good thing to try and use. So, like I said, I did all these things and I waited a bit. It was a weekend. The exotic vet was not available. And so what I did was I did all this treating at home, which I was really thankful for, because before I ran to the vet and then, like I said, they squeezed it or different things and we ended up with nothing but trouble. So I went this route first. Well, by this time, his tail was already, I felt like, starting to heal, but I wanted a second opinion. And again, I was giving Baytril. I had Baytril at home from another pet that I had. I knew the dosage that I was to give and dilute it and all that stuff. So I did give him that too. But when I took him to get the vet's opinion, she said, yes, it was healing. And I was just upfront too. I said, look, I don't want anything invasive done. if at all possible. I just want to know, am I on the right path? I basically wanted to know to make sure that I had the right antibiotic on board, because sometimes certain antibiotics are good for certain types of infections. And she said yes, he was on the mend and things. They did go ahead and give him something for like inflammation. It was just a pain medicine was what it was, and I only ended up giving him 1 dose of that, and he was fine. So I am going to insert some pictures so you can see how he progressed, and he is all better from his abscess now. So I'm hoping that this helps someone and everything. And like I said, I would just, you can be honest with your vet about not doing anything invasive. It's best to really let an abscess try to burst on its own if at all possible, while keeping it clean and monitoring it, rather than squeezing it. Don't ever squeeze or let anybody else squeeze an abscess either. If they're going to do it, then recommend that they do a sterile, like a lancing and drainage, which again then sometimes still tends to go wrong, I feel like, especially on small pets. It may be a little different on a dog or even a bigger pet like a rabbit, but when you're talking gerbils and hamsters and things, it really tends to go wrong. So it is your pet, you can be honest. And so anyways, like I said, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to insert some pictures.